Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today I'm attempting, I'm not saying I'll succeed, to water everything in here, or virtually everything. I still come across a pot now and again that I sort of think, nah, you can wait till next time. And here's a good thought on that process when you're thinking, should I water this or should I leave it? If you've got to think about it, leave it. Because the alternative of going the other way is soggy, yeah? So anyway, the idea today, it's going to be a bitty video. It will be in bits because that's how it's going to work. I'm going to do a look at all of the Cattleya types that are in holy clay pots. So it's not a complete Cattleya update because I'm not doing the mounts. But the idea of looking at them is to decide which ones have got to come out of their pots and which ones need to come out of their pots like pretty quick, or I'm going to lose them. There are a couple like that. So we'll have a quick look at them and decide which ones are going to get done. I will put them to one side and I will do them later today, despite it already being a busy day. But it's not even lunchtime yet. There's plenty of afternoon time to muck about with, you know, with some kitchen stuff. But because there will be more than one and it's repetitive, what I'll do is I'll get one out of its pot and we'll have a look at the method to get the flipping things out of the pots, because they're normally well stuck on, and clean up the roots, make the decisions on which roots to keep, blah blah blah, and get one in a pot on the grounds that all the rest will be the same. Yeah, and I've got a fair bit of repotting, having gone down the list with you people, having a look down the spreadsheet, and as such I'm not filming all of it. It's just too repetitive. I know some people just love the repotting ones, but not everybody does. Yeah, so, and don't forget we have a silent majority often. The people who don't necessarily comment are the ones that might decide, actually I'm going to go and watch another channel, all this guy does is repots. And I don't want to be that guy, if you know what I mean. But before we start, look what just happened. This is my Pabstia, my challenge plant. This was given to me by Zuza as a challenge. That's what it was called, a challenge plant. Didn't even get told what it was at the time. We had to find out. But it's growing some wonderful roots. It's doing roots, and that is flower spike. So I've got it to bloom. Well, it hasn't done yet. It could still abort, and it could still, you know, things could still go wrong. Let's not go mad here. But nonetheless, that's the latest new growth pushing on, and we have a flower spike that looks to me like it's got two buds in. That's relatively normal for this plant. It can have more, but it often only has two. So I'm pleased with that, and as a challenge plant, challenge accepted, and we seem to be doing okay. So right, as I said, this is going to be a bitty video, so I'll have to keep turning the camera off and back on again and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully the joins won't show too bad by the time I fit it all together. But I just thought I'd show you that at the beginning. I'm pretty pleased with that. Pretty pleased. Okay, so this is the first one, and this is the other Laelia purpurata variety striata that I got not that long ago. If I feel like doing the work when I'm putting this video together, I'll do pop-ups of when I got it and when it was repotted. Now we took a chance with this one, and I actually cut the rhizome in half because it wouldn't fit in the pot. So I ended up with a back end and a front end. The front end had a nice strong lead on it, here, yeah? And the back end didn't have any signs of growth. Well, it's pushed up a growth, so it's made it. This back end has got hardly any roots, but it will get some. The front end of the plant is growing roots, so I'm quite happy with the progress on that. This one is not in full light yet. I'd like it to get a better root system on it before it's subjected to the much brighter light that it's going to need to bloom. But on a plant this size, it's highly unlikely that these two latest growths are going to attempt to bloom. So there's no point in trying to get them, if you see what I mean. So yeah, that one's coming on okay. That one didn't get the roots treated because it didn't need it, because it was a relatively recent acquisition. So this one's coming on okay. Right, this is my Recchara Francis Fox. This is coming on nicely. It's not involved with the problem with, roots going or anything like that, because it's a more recent acquisition, this one. I'm pleased with the root progress on this. It's grown a lot of roots. Its latest growth has matured nicely. But what I am pleased about, which I've only just noticed this time when I got it out to water it, we've got an eye there, we've got another one there, and we've got another one there, because this looks like a second lead here. Yeah, so it looks like it's headed off in two directions, and it looks like it's going to shoot out here, possibly there, and definitely there. So this is going to grow on nicely now, I believe. Its oldest leaf is gone. It's gone now, but I haven't got the scissors out here, so I can't be bothered. It'll fall off on its own. So that's coming on well. No need to worry. Right, again, another more recent acquisition. This is the one with the strange name. Caulocatlia Chantilly Lace Twinkle. I don't know why this got put in such a giant pot. Perhaps I didn't have any small ones left, but I did push it over to one side to allow it to come across. Sometimes the best laid plans don't work. Well, there's a nice new growth there heading across to the centre of the pot. That's good, but it looks like there's going to be one over here as well, which is going to be over the edge of the pot quite soon. So be it. That's how it goes with Cattleyas. It's growing nicely. It's got nice healthy leaves. It's got a good root system. Again, no need to worry. This one didn't get its roots treated. More recent acquisition, so it didn't need to. Yes, I know it's not a Cattleya, but it doesn't come back from its shelf where it lives unless I'm watering it, so it's not frequent. But I thought, as I've actually got this, we'll actually have a look at this. This is my Brassia Verrucosa Sea Breeze that came from Burnham's a while back now. It was split. The other part of it's gone to somebody else. This is the piece that's left. It had 4 new growths on it, 2 of which have spiked, 2 haven't. Don't forget there was major disturbance on the plant, but this plant is currently doing everything. It's pushing out new roots, old roots are branching. Each of those new growths is now growing another new growth. So there's 4 new growths pushing out now. Note the position of the plant when it was potted. It was potted with those new growths in mind. How much room have those new growths got? Lots. So they won't be hanging over the edge of the pot, which is important for Brassias because they like to stay hydrated. And then we've got these 2. These are now starting to form their buds. And I need to sort them out because I can't let them arch. I won't have the room. So they have to go upright. And they're already leaning towards the light from where they were. So those buds will already be thinking about their aspect, how they want to open. So I can't alter them. I can't suddenly decide to bring them over this way. They have to stay that way now. So I've got some giant stakes here. And I doubt if I'm going to be able to do this one-handed. In fact, I'll put the camera down and then we'll come back to it when once I've got the stakes in. I should be okay again. But I need to get them in firmly and in the right place. Now these 2 spikes are coming off 2 different bulbs, even though they look like they're coming off the same one. So those are the 2 that bloomed. The other 2 new growths have got no sign of spikes, so I doubt if they will now. It's a bit late in the season. So right, let's get the stakes in. Okay, so I've put the stakes in at an angle so that they form a V. Yeah, that separates them because these blooms are large and they won't look anywhere near as good if they tangle up with each other. So that's separated them, and they're still slightly sloping away from the plant. So I haven't altered their aspect, and I will make sure that they face the light. Now the reason that plant's got to move, excuse me, is it used to live there in the bright light to get it to bloom. Well, it's got spikes now. You don't need to maintain that. It's going to bloom whatever you do now, unless you break the spikes, which could easily be done where it was. Tangling up in here, banging against that top rack. There were plenty of opportunities to snap those spikes, so it's not going back there. That is nowhere near high enough, nor is that. and nor is that. So the only place it can go now to let those spikes develop is here, on this bit where it is. So I'll have to rearrange some plants here. Effectively, I've got plants up here that could go somewhere else because they're not in spike. So those two large Miltonias up there, the ones that are in the feeding project, they could come over here now. Yeah. Anyway, that was just a coffee break exercise. I went to get myself a coffee and I thought, well, as I've got that down to water it, now's the time to do the spikes. Because if I wait till next time I water it, the spikes could be touching the roof. You know, because I don't look at the plants every single day, not every single plant. I haven't got time. So anyway, that's that job done now. And hopefully that will push on nicely now. Right, this one has always looked a tatty plant and probably always will. It's just a long, leggy set of pseudobulbs. That's how it grows. Nonetheless, it has very nice flowers. Quite a complicated name, but it isn't really. It's actually a species, Harrisoniana, but it's actually two named varieties of that particular species. Well, that still makes it a species in my book. Now, this is one that's on a borderline because, excuse me, this didn't get its roots treated, but it's not, I wonder whether it's happy. This latest growth, which is just about to open its leaves, is twisted. But then so was this one. But did this one twist because I grabbed hold of it? Whereas this one I haven't grabbed hold of. Plus it's an incredibly deep colour, but then I haven't long taken the sheaths off. So not quite sure with this one, but what I am sure is that when I water this bark goes black and it stays wet twice as long as the ones that's in newer bark. So I think that new growth hasn't yet produced its new roots, and it's going to very soon, looking at those stubs. So I would suggest this might be an excellent time to repot that one. So that one can go to one side. That didn't get its roots treated, it's just in old bark. And although the Orchiata bark, it lasts absolutely ages, it has lasted ages. I'll see if I can find the date when that was actually potted up. It'll be quite a long time ago. So I'm not complaining. But there comes a time when even the best bark in the world goes over. And that's what this is doing now. Easy way to tell, it stays wet a lot longer than in your mind it used to. That's why sometimes it's handy to keep notes. But with the Cattleyas I can remember because I haven't got too many. So that one's going to go to one side and we'll deal with that one. But it's not an emergency, but it will be a good time to do it simply because those new roots are going to come soon. And as you can see, I've got to get this out of this pot. So a lot of these roots are stuck to the side, they're going to be lost. So I'm going to reduce its root system. But we won't lose all of them. There's a lot of the roots in the pot. You know, they'll be fine. So we're not going to have a total root loss, but it will have a root reduction, which will slow it down a bit possibly. It may be that we don't even get this latest growth to bloom and it has a rest, but we shall see. Right, and the last one on that shelf, this is one where the roots did get treated and it whacked them. Yeah, so most of these roots have shriveled, they're dead. But it is starting to show signs of some new roots in places. I don't think there's any signs of any new, oh yeah, we do have a new growth as well. Right, so that one goes to one side. This has got a double whammy here because I believe this bark's getting on a bit. Not sure, I'll look it up and say I'll put repotting dates up. Looks like I've got some editing to do for a change on the video and some checking and stuff. Well, you know, I'm not going to have too much to do today, and it might well be that this video doesn't even get finished off until tomorrow. But yeah, so this is a double whammy. It's lost its root systems because of the treatment that I messed up, and in addition to that, the bark's getting old, I believe. So that can go to one side, definitely. It's basically stalled. The whole plant has done nothing since those roots died. So there's been no growth, nothing. And as I said, there's just some signs of some new roots starting. or possibly a new root and a new growth and some roots branching. Now's the time to do it. Right, my Ivanagarra apple blossom is desiccating. Now, I don't physically remember whether those roots got treated, but I think they did. They didn't suffer as bad as some of the other plants, but nonetheless, this is also, I believe, been in the pot a long time and the bark is old. Now again, there's the next new growth just there. There are some root tips in this area, none over here and none over here. These got hit, so they're in a bad way over this part of the plant, but over here we've got some roots. Now the other new growth that we generated by cutting the rhizome is here, and I think that is a 4-bulb piece there with a new growth that currently hasn't started any roots yet. So when I come to do this one, this might end up being 2 plants. These are sought after, to say the least. They used to be, you go back quite a long time, they were common as muck, and now they just seem to have gone. Now out in the States there's not only lots of them, there's lots of different varieties of them as well. So they're obviously making a big deal out of these, and it's probably a lot to do with the fragrance. Plus, generally speaking, they're quite easy to grow. But this one has suffered. Old bark now, I believe. An old compacted root system with signs of growth. So that one can go to one side and be done, irrespective of the fact it's got the blooms on. I'll manage. At the end of the day, even the pseudo bulb with the blooms on distorted, it curled over. It doesn't normally do that. So it's not a happy bunny, and I don't want to lose it. So I would rather repot it while there's signs of new root growth and a new actual growth just starting. At least I know this piece will do okay then, and the other piece should do. They may still both end up going in the same pot. I don't know yet until I get it out and see what I've got, but I'll put that one to one side. Most people will hold their hands up in horror. Oh, you're not going to do that while it's in bloom, are you? Well, yes, I am. If I lose the plant, we won't ever see the blooms again, will we? And the plant needs dealing with. As I said, I think that one's been in its pot sometime. So that's another one to do. Now, I can't remember while I'm filming, and I'm not mucking about running backwards and forwards to the computer. I'll sort it out when I edit the video. But this is the one with the long name. Shinfong, Little Sun, Young Min, Golden Boy. That's easy to say. But this has been done. But why was it done? That's the bit I don't remember. This is new bark. But what it hasn't got is a good root system. So I think this was one of the ones that suffered bad from the root treatment and got done like immediately or soon after. So there's no need to do this one. I'm just waiting for this to get going again. It looks to me like it got split into 2 pieces. So we've got a piece here that seems to stop, and that has a new growth starting, which at some point will produce roots. The other piece, which is not so good, has the sign of a new root and a new growth just there. So both of these pieces are going to grow, I believe, but they're doing it with virtually no roots. But it's been repotted, it's in decent bark. So that one can just be left to just pull on. It will take time, but it will get going again. This is the other Laelia purpurata. This is the variety Atropurpurea. Had this plant quite a long time. This has been done. Now again, I'm not sure that one ever had scale, so this may have just been repotted as a matter of course because it was hanging over the edge of the pot. I just don't remember, but we've definitely got 2 pieces in here, and the pseudobulbs have badly desiccated. So for one reason or another, this one's gone backwards quite dramatically. We do have some new roots. We've got signs of new roots in places, and the latest growth is almost as big as the previous ones. It has a sheath. There's no way that's going to bloom. So this one has been set back. If you look, these leaves are desiccated. they're not nice and shiny and healthy anymore. This one's okay, but this has been set back quite badly, so this has now got to wait for some time to grow on. So it needs new growths and some new roots to push on and actually sort of bring it back again. These leaves won't ever recover. Once a leaf gets like that, it's not going to plump up. Or let's put it this way, I've never known them do that in my time. So, but it doesn't need potting, it's been done already. So that's that one. This was one of the ones came back from Jeff's. I don't hold out a lot of hope for this. It's been potted, but it had no decent roots at all, so we're potting up a rootless one, and several items of rot, including the main lead, which rotted right back and had to be cut. And it had to be cut back a fair bit to get into tissue that wasn't black and wet. So whether this one can ever shoot out again, I really don't know. Personally, I doubt it. But as far as it's been potted, it's in new bark, that's it. Whether it does anything or not remains to be seen. I doubt it. Now this one is my angel heart. I got a feeling that this thing is so vigorous you couldn't kill it if you tried. Unfortunately, it's had some effort put into the aforementioned. The whole lead had to come off because it rotted. This hasn't been repotted, but I'll have to check with the date on here. But we've got a massive new growth starting on here, so this one's going to make it, despite the fact it's got lousy roots. So I'll have to look this one up to see. I don't need to do anything. You know, this is not old tired bark. This isn't too bad. And we do have a new growth. We will now get new roots at some point. And I'll bet you anything you like, it tries to flower on that growth. It's just so vigorous, this plant. But it's down to one leaf. So we've got an old bulb, leafless, that's bloomed. Got another bulb here that's got the only leaf that's bloomed. And now we've got a big new growth. So I'm not worried about that, believe it or not. Even though it doesn't look up to much at the moment, it will do. It'll come back. It'll be fine. Now this is my Laelia anceps. This didn't get treated. So the roots haven't suffered as a consequence of that. Nonetheless, this is now causing concern. I'll check the date, but this bark looks old and tired. There's quite a lot of green on the roots, which shows signs of algae, which doesn't normally happen until the bark is starting to think about breaking down. But nonetheless, there's new roots down in there. Roots branching here. New roots, even the roots down there that sit in the pot are branching, and then we've got this another new flush of new roots here that are too long to repot. Those would so easily get broken, and quite honestly they're long enough now that they probably decided they're going to be aerial roots for the rest of their life. And sometimes roots can object quite badly if they've decided to be aerial roots and you decide to put them in some media. But what we've got on this one is what looks like an eye that could grow there. And it looks like there's going to be one pushes out there as well. Yes, there's one tucked in that sheath as well. And there's one there. So there's potential for 3 new growths in this area, all of which are going to grow new roots. And where are those roots going to go? On the outside of the pot. This is a problem. Now over here on the other lead, we've definitely got one new growth there and another one here. Now those roots, some of those will go down in the pot. I think the media's old. So this is going to have to be done by hook or by crook. And it may set it back a bit. But it's not going to set it back anywhere near as much as it will do next time if I leave it for all of these growths to mature and produce their roots, because a lot of them are going to be outside the pot. So unfortunately we're going to have to get on and do that one. And potentially there's 5 new growths on there. Imagine 5 Laelia anceps spikes. Now imagine the disturbance of repotting it, and are we still going to get 5 spikes? I doubt it. They'll come again. You know, if I get 5 new growths this season and only 1 or 2 bloom, the following season I should get at least 5 more new growths. And they should bloom, because they'll have a settled root system. So still worth doing. So we'll put that one to one side. You might be getting a bit worried that I'm building up quite a workload here. Yes, I am. But I'm one of those, if I'm going to do a session, I like to do a session and get on with it. And I'll get all my equipment and everything ready and just hit it. And I might just split it in two and do 2 sessions. Simple as that. The fact that these ones that I'm putting to one side are not getting watered today, well, an extra day won't hurt them. I will be potting some of them today. And if the others have to wait till tomorrow, so be it. I won't have any watering to do in here tomorrow. I'll have no orchid stuff to do tomorrow, so, I might even leave them all until tomorrow. But we're looking at them, talking about them, and getting my head into the position where I will... It's like somebody throws a switch and goes, right, let's get on with it. Right, the last one on this shelf is a bad one. This not only was in old media, and still is, but the roots suffered really badly. And the main reason, I suppose, is it got extra treatment simply because it had scale really badly. And blow me, it still has. They've come back on this one. It was that bad that it didn't even do the job, the treatment. But this is now in a bad way. It's lost virtually all of its root system. Might not look like it, but these are all shriveled. These are not really working anymore. And even on the latest growth, the roots are gone. So this has got very little root support now. I suspect there's a little bit somewhere, but we've got a new growth coming here. I believe this rhizome's been cut, possibly in several places, so there's more than one plant in here. So that'll be one plant up here. That's down to 1 leaf. And all the other pseudobulbs are leafless, but it has a new growth. So that'll be one piece. And over here, it's difficult to say, but in amongst here, at least there are some leaves. They're not brilliant, but they're there. So I'm going to have to deal with this one for both reasons. And this is the Young Min Orange. Oh, I've had this donkey's years. I bought this off of Chantel before she moved to Australia. This has got a serious memory with it, this plant. I can't lose it. I can set it back, I can mess it up, but I won't lose it. I will get it to recover. But it needs dealing with. It needs all these sheaths taken off. It needs checking over completely for scale again. And we won't be treating it with the same stuff we did last time, that's for sure. So that's got to be dealt with before I lose it. Let's catch it in time. There's an eye showing there, that might shoot. As I said, I can't remember where I cut this. There's going to be a new growth in amongst this lot somewhere at some point, and we've definitely got one already over there. I think that's 3 parts, that plant now. So that's going to have to be done as well. That is an emergency. So that, if I don't do anything else today, that one needs doing before it's too late. That has definitely got old bark, so we'll have to get on with that one. Right, last shelf, last 3. This one was one that came from Schwerter, so I haven't had this one long. RLC Taiwan Good Life Big Wilson. So this hasn't long been potted up. It's in new bark, it's growing roots, it'll be fine. So there's no worries on that one. And we've already got a nice new growth coming here. Of course, it would choose to come out right next to the flipping wire, wouldn't it? But it's got room to come out. It's not going to get cut in half or anything daft. So we've got roots on here. We've got a new growth which should produce more roots. A lot of these roots are coming out from farther back on the plant, so that one's going to be fine. The sheath that was on it is not going to bloom. That's highly unlikely, but it does have a lovely large leaf on that growth, and the other leaves are okay. Now either this has got something on it where it may have been sprayed, or it's slightly glaucous, that sort of slight whitish film that you get on some plants. What was it again? It's an RLC, so with the R there, the Rhyncholalia, or Rhyncho whatever it is, Rhyncho Summit or other, that is a possibility. Anyway, no problems with that one. Right, this one's suffering bad. I just picked the plant up, 2 leaves fell off. That's 2 more leaves fell off. There's now more leafless bulbs than there are ones with leaves. This one's going to go. They basically show a tinge of purple and then they just go yellow and then eventually brown and fall off. And that's probably going to go, and so is that. So it's suffering quite badly, but whatever I've done has already been done. So it's now a matter of, can it push some new growths out and get some new roots? So this one obviously had the treatment. You can see all the shriveled roots in here, and the plant is slowly but surely desiccating and going downhill. But I have just noticed there are a few scale on this one. So they've come back. So after all that effort and all that fuss, we didn't get rid of them completely. Look in there. That's one of their favourite places where an old flower spike was. Whether they're alive or not, I don't know. But yeah, so there's nothing to do on this one. These will be its last blooms for some time, I suspect. And this is really one of my favourite orange cattleyas. It's a lovely one, lovely shaped lip. So I don't think we'll lose it, but it's going to be set back badly. And this is just a hybrid, it's a no ID. But I still wouldn't want to lose it. So I've done what I can with it. Now it's just a matter of, can it pull itself together and, you know, and get going again. We shall see. And the last one. Now this one again, this one's already been done. So this has been repotted. Bad root loss, really bad root loss. That's the red one. You'd never guess, would you? Cyangue, red pearl, red dragonfly. So, but that's my only red cattleya. It's got a strange growth pattern. It's got virtually no rhizomes. The bulbs come out so tight next to each other, but we do have a new growth in a strange place, because that's not the lead there. The lead is here, or here even. But either way, we've got a new growth. Where it comes out, I really am not fussed, as long as it starts producing some roots. But again, I've done what I can with this one. It's been repotted, it's got new bark, and it's up for it to pull itself together now. So I'm just getting some of this media away from that new growth so that it doesn't sit wet. It comes out into the air. So that's the lot then. You can see again, that's the signs of the roots going. Desiccation and twisting on the leaves, yeah, discoloration. But I think these leaves on this one are going to stay there a while, so it can still photosynthesize and help itself, you know, while it gets that new growth going, because it'll be a while before that new growth has actually got a leaf to be able to feed itself. So we shall see. We might get another new growth on this one yet, not sure. It's only ever grown one at a time before, but we'll have to wait and see. So those are they. How many have I put to one side? I think I've put 5 to one side. We could go and have a look, couldn't we? Talk about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 5 put to one side. They may not all get done today, but they will at least all get looked at today and prioritised, and they might all get left until tomorrow. As I said, this video will go up today. The potting and everything, if it gets left to tomorrow, it's not the end of the world, because that would be tomorrow's video anyway, even if I film it today. So we'll go from there. And if you're wondering what that one is over there, it's dying, and there's something incredibly wrong with it because it will not grow. And it's just aborted the latest 2 new growths. So there's something wrong with it, so it's going in the bin. That's why that one's over there, before you ask. That's why we didn't film it today, because it's not in the grow room. It's been taken out because there's something wrong with it. Could be a virus, could be Fusarium, but whatever it is, it's taking the plant down at a rate of knots. As I said, once new growths start keeling over, there's something wrong with it. And it hasn't grown any new roots for some considerable time. The leaves are desiccating, so I'd rather not have it around my other plants, so that's why that's over there. There we go then, 5 to do. See you next time.